Welcome, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's November 20th, 2019. The show, as always, is presented by the Marijuana Times. MarijuanaTimes.org is where you can find us. Click the video tab there to find the show. Also, a bunch of great articles from a lot of great writers, social media links, and more. MarijuanaTimes.org. Today, we're talking about making it legal in Florida, talking about marijuana legalization, of course. Also, a huge vote in the House Judiciary Committee today on the MORE Act, which is some comprehensive marijuana legalization legislation. We'll also talk about New Jersey and how they're doing with their attempts at adult use legalization. All that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free with NatureSide. Be regulatory compliant in the state that you are growing in. Don't use banned pesticides. Use instead NatureSide. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, NatureSide. Go check them out. First story by yours truly at MarijuanaTimes.org. Making it legal in Florida. Got a chance to talk with Nick Hansen, who's the chairman of Make It Legal Florida, one of the two big organizations attempting to get adult use legalization on the ballot in the state next year. He said, quote, to date, Make It Legal Florida initiative has more than 91,000 verified signatures. This milestone means the ballot effort will now undergo a judicial and financial impact review. Make It Legal Florida's statewide effort has gathered a total of nearly 390,000 signatures to date, with more than 300,000 signatures currently being shipped to supervisors of elections around the state for verification. Supervisors of elections will have 30 days to verify a petition once it is received. We are confident we will meet the deadline to make it on Florida's ballot. Make It Legal Florida is the one that's being bankrolled mainly by medical marijuana interests in the state, Sutera Holdings, which have now changed their name to Parallel, and also Enterprises, which is MedMen. There was no home growing in the Make It Legal petition. Critics will say that's because they don't want the competition. Parallel and MedMen don't want the competition in the state. MedMen and Sutera and Make It Legal, the organization itself, say that it's homegrown and make it harder to pass the 60% threshold that's going to be needed to pass legalization in Florida next year. So we'll see. Regulate Florida is going a different direction. So if you're in Florida, check out both of them and see which one you want to throw your support behind. But I make that decision soon because, it's almost 2020, and that's the year they're going for. The deadline for the signatures in Florida is February 1st. This next story from Normal Breaking. Bill to end marijuana prohibition passes key committee. You probably saw it all over social media. Not actually the news, because the impeachment hearings are dominating congressional news and news out of Washington, D.C. But in cannabis news, well, this is pretty big. For the first time ever, the Congressional Committee has approved a piece of legislation to end marijuana prohibition in the United States. The Marijuana Opportunity, Reinvestment, and Expungement Act, better known as the MORE Act, would remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act and impose a minor excise tax on the legal cannabis industry to pay for the expungement of criminal records. It passed with a bipartisan vote in the House Judiciary Committee, 24-10. Huge stuff. This is truly a historic moment in our nation's political history, said Normal Executive Director Eric Altieri. For the first time, the Congressional Committee has approved far-reaching legislation to not just put an end to federal marijuana prohibition, but to address the countless harms our prohibitionist policies have wrought, notably on communities of color and other already marginalized groups. Opposition to our failed war on marijuana has reached a boiling point, with over two-thirds of all Americans, including majorities of all political persuasions, now supporting legalization. Obviously, there's a lot of steps to go through. To have to pass the House committee and then go to the House floor for a vote, and then take the same path through the Senate and then get to President Trump's desk for a signature. A lot of steps, of this being the first step. But it's also important to recognize that this is uncharted territory. We've never been this far when it comes to federal legalization, which is a good thing and definitely something to be celebrated. Is definite progress, because even though there are a lot more steps, you have to take that first step, and all the steps have to be gone through. You have to go, each incremental period, incremental phase, whatever, and keep getting as far as we can until eventually something like the MORE Act, or the MORE Act itself, gets to President Trump's desk, or whoever the next president is, whatever. It's fantastic. Like I said, something to be celebrated, because state legalization is only going to be able to go so far, as we've talked about many times before. Federal legalization has to happen. It's the specter that looms over everything. Nothing a state does can ever be safe. A lot of states, a lot of policymakers, a lot of lawmakers hide behind federal prohibition to say, well, we're not going to do anything on the state level until they do something on a federal level. Federal legalization would open up the floodgates for whatever states that are left when it comes to either adult use legalization or medical marijuana legalization. Just big, big, big. There's nothing bigger in the marijuana law reform movement than federal legalization, and a huge vote today. Congratulations to all of the many, many activists and organizations that have gotten us to this point. And now we move forward. Next step, the floor of the House for a full vote be much like the Senate, the Safe Banking Act got recently. And so start contacting your congressman. You know the drill. We gear it all up again. I don't say we grind it all up again. That's not right. We gear it all up again. Get the machine going again for the next phase of the moron. Contact your congressman. There are many ways to do that nowadays. This last story is from Politico.com. New Jersey marijuana legalization bill dead. Lawmakers will let voters decide. Yes. Again, legalization in New Jersey has come up short. For the second time this year, top Democratic lawmakers in New Jersey pulled the plug on legislation to legalize cannabis sales for recreational use, killing any likelihood Governor Phil Murphy will deliver on a key campaign promise before 2021. Instead, legislative leaders have introduced a resolution that would put a recreational use question on the November 2020 ballot. The resolution would need to pass both houses of the state legislature by 3/5 majorities in 1 year or by simple majorities in consecutive years before it would be able to make the ballot. So they're still trying in New Jersey. There was some talk of a lame duck session. They do not have the votes they feel in the Senate. They need 21 votes. They feel like they have 18 to 20. Senate President Steve Sweeney said in a joint statement with Senator Nicholas Scutari, quote, "We made further attempts to generate additional support in the Senate to get this done legislatively, but we recognize that the votes just aren't there. We respect the positions taken by the legislators on what is an issue of conscience." They say later in the article that the talk of the referendum and putting it before voters may have killed whatever more yes votes they would have been able to get, because obviously lawmakers would be more hesitant to say, yes, let's pass this, when the option to put it before voters is on the table. So legalization still a work in progress, as it is in many states. It is in New Jersey as well. If you live in New Jersey, keep at it. I mean, they're going to try to get it on the ballot, and hopefully they're able to do that. Hopefully it's not a big deal for the legislature to get enough votes, even needing a 3/5 majority to put it on the ballot and let the voters decide. Isn't that what we're all about? Isn't that what democracy is all about? And representative and the republic and freedom and all of that, the will of the voters, etc., and so on. Let the voters of New Jersey decide whether or not legalization happens or not. So there we go. That's cannabis news for today. A big day in the marijuana law reform movement. We're here 5 days a week, of course, on Cannabis News. Search the Marijuana Times on YouTube and Vimeo for the videos, Apple Podcasts for the audio, or click the video tab at marijuanatimes.org. Thank you to Cannabis, to Nature Side. That's right, Nature Side. I am on cold medicine. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but, well, I guess I just did. I at least implied that it's an excuse. Nature Side, nature-side.com, proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Thank you, Nature Side, and their organic all-natural pesticides. Go check them out. Thank you all for using this show to spread the truth about cannabis, for liking, sharing, commenting on the videos. Please continue to do so, because that's how we grow the show and continue to spread this information. Thanks for watching and listening today. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.